We go live every Friday at 12, where Summer and we chat about anything around getting resource back to ourselves, source, and others. And that's really bring it back to our inner technology, speaking our truth. It's about sovereignty, it's about freedom, it's about like being in alignment with myself, right? And so we always open up our conversation with the prompt, what's alive in you? So, Summer, what is alive in you right now?
Uh, Jitteriness, anxiousness, irritation, annoyance, frustration, um, embarrassment, all of those things. And
Mm,
appreciation that Naomi's here. And um, she said something very profound. Why do we communicate? Sometimes I speak to feel less alone.
mm,
Mm-hmm. No
mm.
kidding. So our conversation today, and I'll check in with you. You did say you were frustrated that the technology doesn't work. So maybe next time I'll try to hook up to Facebook and see if it works better from my end. I don't know. But we were going to talk about why do we have conversations anyway? How are you feeling about that topic today? Still good to go on that?
Yeah, I like to check in as well, like, what's present. Yeah, curiosity. Um, I think there's also a feeling of like patience and just being with it. Like there is an annoyance and frustration with technology, but I'm just acknowledging it is what it is, and I'm just here. Yeah, the great thing about a live stream is it's real. So
True
I'm
that.
not having to prepackage anything to make it perfect, and that allows my stickler to rest. That the stream is something that can be watched later and fast forward and back, so it can be cut out. So I'm cool with it. Yeah, it's a blooper for me.
Yeah, I guess I don't have that same sense of ease today.
Yeah, I think it's a great test if I just sit here and do nothing, and then I judge watching you squirm. Yeah,
Oh, thanks.
I'm I'm actually pretty fine with it. Might be entertaining.
So your perceptions that I'm squirming. I feel squirmy or I felt squirmy
Mm,
for
mm,
sure. I realize
yeah.
I rely on you to do your masterful introduction with your beautiful radio voice and I
Mm, thank you.
was at a loss.
Mm,
So I'm going to take a breath actually. Well, I do. I have squirmy energy all over my body.
mm,
Ooh, yeah. A fear of being judged, I guess, is where that
mm,
comes from. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah.
And just grateful Tracy and Naomi are here. And I noticed Tracy said, I had a best friend and we spoke and hung out every day. But since she got into a relationship, she ghosts me all the time. She blames herself and apologizes. It's exhausting. Hmm. Oh, no. Self blame. Apologies. We talked about that last night too. So sometimes we communicate to apologize.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah, so the topic was like the goals, right? What's the goal of the communication? The
Yeah. Why?
motivations of the communication?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
can I can start that off.
Sure. Yeah. Naomi
I
had a
can
few.
riff.
Yeah. Riffy, riffy. Roofie,
Yeah.
roofie. Go.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Why do you communicate, Dre? Why do you even bother to communicate to anybody? Why do we open our mouths?
well, it's not a question that I'm consciously aware of like growing up. What my motivations and goals are communicating are. I mean, it's not even talked about. I just communicate. And if I were to reflect on that, it's to really to get what I want. Um, you know, to get food, to get safety, uh, to get that thing. in sales, it's to get people to buy, to influence. And so, if I were to peel that back a bit more, it's this idea of influence. It's in a way like getting people to like me. So, saying things certain ways to avoid conflict, not having my own opinion, just agreeing, or convincing. Let's go to this particular movie, or where should we go to eat? Bring forth, or even going into the debates and having strong opinions about something. So I never actually thought about it, though. There's a lot of motivations underneath it that it's great to reflect on, right? Which helps move us into the space of conscious communication. Is like, yeah, what is my intention of communicating? And I remember taking this personal development seminar, which really helped shift me, right? Like, I have a background in sales, and sales always kind of felt icky to me because it felt like I was convincing someone. And it took some reframing to be like, no, actually, I'm an influencer. I'm influencing,
Hmm.
right? Convincing seems like it's a win lose. It's like my interests, right? And when I say influence, there was a lighter tone to it because it was the idea of like win win, right? It's the idea of like, if I knew this would support you, then it would be disservice to me not to share this with you, right? And to lead you and guide you, right? So the influencing piece came in, and in this personal development seminar, it said that like, you're either being enrolled or you're enrolling. And what that means is it is an influence. Like, every time we're having conversations, there's a air of influence. I'm either being influenced by this person's perspective, or I'm influencing this person's perspective to mine. So it's very interesting, right? So that became a game of like, hmm, it put me in this paradigm of like, perhaps, like, to be right? To get what I want. And that's dangerous because now it's like I have this ulterior motive underneath it. And when I started studying nonviolent communication, it's a huge paradigm change, because what I judge to
Oh, I lost you there for a sec. Oh, now we can't hear you. You were on a roll though, Dre. Definitely.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, definitely.
That was so weird. Technology is interesting.
Interesting. Yeah, we're being interrupted and we're trying to talk about that today.
The paradigm that I'm in is a domination paradigm. It's a paradigm of control. It's a paradigm of power over. And so I'm naturally in it, right? I'm in the soup. That's just what sales is about. That's what communication is all about. It's about convincing each other. It's about being right. It's kind of like political debates, right? It's about talking about anything and trying to convince someone on the other side, because I'm in that paradigm. And so I'm like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, until Marshall Rosenberg, the creator of nonviolent communication, brought this paradigm of like power with, or how can we make life more wonderful? I'm like, huh? That was a total foreign concept to me, man. So I like to, toss it back to you and hear your thoughts about like, what are your goals and motivations, and eventually come together on that thread of how can you make life more wonderful, and then communicating from that place, and the difference, right? The difference between that and this paradigm I learned growing up.
Right. You shared a lot of concepts I hadn't thought of going back to if I were to imagine infancy. I need my food, I need some affection, love, warmth, whatever it is
Yeah.
that I need. So we communicate
Wah, wah.
for cries, yeah.
Yeah.
Bringing me up to speed like 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. I know you're a top enroller,
Hmm.
BNI business, and
Yeah.
Toastmasters, and they teach
ASI
you all these
seminars.
ways to speak and be enrolling.
Yeah.
which if I were to guess, the goal is to be the best, to be on top. If you're the top enroller, people always encourage people. Things are gamified to be on top. There's this competition.
Mm,
Um, we want to look good for people. We want people to perceive us as
mhm,
good people or attractive people or worthwhile people to hang out with, the cool crowd. So there's so many ways that we communicate for different reasons. Naomi says sometimes I want to feel less alone. And you're right. Marshall Rosenberg came up with a concept of why don't we communicate to make life more wonderful, to have power with. And when it comes down to it for me, it's really about connection. It's about understanding why I'm here on the planet through the reflection of other people for me. If I find people are cold or transactional, um, which I've had an experience of in the last little while, it really makes me feel disheartened, less alive. And so communication is an invitation to what makes me feel alive. I guess in Marshall's way, what makes life more wonderful for all of us? How do we have power with in a way that makes us all feel alive?
mm,
Isn't that what we want is to feel joy, to have creativity, to um, mourn, to grieve, to know the breadth and joy of everything that it means to be human. Um, and I get emotional just saying that. To feel. I guess the real reason for me to communicate is to feel.
mm,
Yeah, to know more about source or life itself,
mm,
to learn, to engage, to soak in. I guess it's
mm,
also for meaning, for collaboration, um, to discern truth as far as I can discern it,
mm.
also for healing. I find a lot of communications I'm having lately deeply uh, insightful, deeply healing, deeply heartfelt. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel all of that. I get so much insights about myself through communicating and through others. And then through others, it's through myself. It's like reciprocal. The more I communicate, the more I know myself, the more I get to know you, the more I know myself. Like it's all a reflection back to me, really. It's like I'm gathering data about me when I get to know you, how I respond or react to you, or how do I relate to experiences, right? Am I actually really getting to know you, Summer? Like when I communicate with you, I'm making this realization. No, I'm actually getting to know myself through you.
Mm.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because it's a projection. I'm projecting out. All of it is like what I'm interpreting. And are we on the same page? Mhm. Yeah. And I love how you said to feel, to connect to life. Um, that's the essence of communication, isn't it? And I'm landing on. That's like, ah, when I communicate, I heal, I grow, I learn. It's how my
Well,
mind interacts with, well, it seems like you got a little knot there you like to talk about. Um, um, though for me, I want to bring it back to this depth because moving from sales, right, of like this paradigm of having to convince to now convincing myself that's a win-win. I saw myself using the ability to convince in a win-win where I'm here creating a vision. Like imagine an evangelist, right? An evangelist sells a vision and pulls people in, right? And of course, the reason why they make a lot of money, they get a lot of influence is because they're tapping into people's needs through that vision, you know? And so when I'm in this enrollment energy, I'm in this like vision evangelist energy of like, this is it. I remember when I started my men's group and I was in this energy, is like people were just attracted to it. But here's the thing though, because I'm actually pulling them in. And the question is, am I aware of their needs? Or am I just this vision and it's about me and it's about this group and it's about this God and it's about this religion. And taking it a step further is actually supporting them to discover what their needs are so that they become consciously aware of that it is a win-win and they're not just drinking the Kool-Aid. They're not just being in that high of like, I'm speaking a vision and they're being pulled into it and not being aware of why they're being pulled into it is what I'm saying. Because that gives me the power to determine what's a win-win for you and I. And I can see there's a lot of sales going on and influence where I know what's good for you. And so I'm going to share this and in a way tell you that this is going to be a win for you because of this and this and this and this and this and this. Right. Now, if I'm not really clear on making that clear for you to understand what your needs are, then it still seems like a power dynamic there. I don't know. I'm just playing with this concept. So, what I'd like to now evolve my communication to is like helping that person I'm communicating with and getting clear on what they want and need. So then they're choosing themselves. They have the sovereignty to choose in if they want to collaborate, they want to work with me, then it's a true win win. You know what I'm saying? It's all like I'm just preaching a vision and you're coming along for the ride. But I'm like, hey, 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 why are you coming along for the ride? You know? Are we both rowing the boat here? Is what I'm saying. Are we both leading the way versus you giving your power away to me because I'm in front of the room, you know?
Mm.
I have the vision. Right? Right? You're putting me on a pedestal unconsciously. And you know what? You're also looking for me to save you. Ooh, unconsciously. So this is the danger of having the power of having such influential communication is that when I disregard your needs and your sovereignty, there might be the case where I'm getting your power and I'm getting power drunk and I feel good about it. And there's this idea that I'm going to save you and you're looking to me, right? To save you.
Hmm. This
So,
this sounds like it's slipping into a almost conversation, I guess, about cults or religions in a way. I'm curious because Naomi just put something up, and I, for whatever reason, on my screen it's cut off halfway, so I can't even read it. Can you prop it up?
oh, okay. Yeah. Pop it up here. Naomi says, yeah, when someone will communicate their heart back to me, I feel so alive and in tune with the inside of them and the inside of me. I feel ecstatic sometimes because we can be in flow in tune.
Mm.
I think that's a part of like, yeah, seeing myself in them and vice versa
Right.
when I
And I think
communicate.
that's maybe the difference between what you're talking about because, you know, you've got control over the room, people look to you and yeah, some people do unconsciously look to others to save them versus believing that they have the power. And I remember talking to someone who was involved in what I would might judge a cult, and they asked me what I thought about it, and I just said to them, I the only question I have is whether that person at the front of the room takes or gives back people's power. And I could tell by the look on his face, he was like, "Uh-oh." He knew the answer, that his power was taken away, and he um, looked too much to this one person to solve too many things. And when that happens, you're right. There's so many examples of those types of things when someone has a lot of power and people just follow them rather than the reciprocity and people knowing that what they have is worthwhile. And like Naomi said, and you said, that mirror, or even what namaste means, I see the God in you sees the God in me, and vice versa.
Mm. Yeah, and that to me like lands so like hard for me at this moment because our whole like intention of this is like getting resource, meaning like kind of resourcing the power within myself. It's about freedom, it's about sovereignty, right? And so where am I outsourcing that, giving that power away? Where am I putting others in pedestals or looking for others to save me? Because then I was shared with this concept of accountability, right?
Oh.
And when I think about accountability, there's a lot of like me like I want you to hold me accountable. And underneath that though, that's like I want you to save me, in short, to make sure that I'm doing the things rather than self accountability, developing the skills to lead myself, to be accountable to myself. Because at the end of the day, who's with me 24/7? Me. What really matters is behind closed doors when no one is watching, no one is looking. So that's the skill to cultivate is knowing myself, right? And that's through communicating with myself, communicating with others, communicating ways that are open and vulnerable and authentic. Because now then I shine light on what's running me. Because if I don't put light to it, don't put words to it, then it's running in the background.
Hmm. Wow, there's some really poignant things you just said. Two of them. One was accountability, because I remember in the not too distant past you saying, "Summer, I want you to hold me accountable for this," and I would be like, "Oh no, I don't want to
Yeah.
hold you accountable for anything. No, thank you. I don't want that job." Um, and I know people have
Mm.
accountability partners and things like that, and it's never sit well with me. So I that's a new thing I've just heard from you, which I actually appreciate, that idea that we do need to be self accountable. And the most important thing is, yeah, what do we do behind closed doors? Most people, they think they have dirty laundry, or they do other things that they don't want to share with others. Um, and I think maybe the point of communication should be the same whether we're talking to ourselves or to anyone else. How do we berate ourselves? What do we think of ourselves? How do we judge ourselves? Often, and we in our classes, people are like, "Yeah, I'm way nicer to people than I am to myself." And what would a world be like if the way we communicated to God, to ourselves, to each other was the same? What would that look like? I don't know the answer to that. But I think well, maybe I have some. Uh,
Well, the word comes to mind is nourishing.
uh,
It's refreshing. It's generative, it's
Mm.
meaningful, it's expansive because truth is being illuminated.
Yeah, I think another word that I would put in there is vulnerability, transparency, authenticity, integrity. Ex- did you say expansiveness?
Yeah. Yeah. In a way, it's like I get to put down the rocks I've been carrying.
Mm.
That I've been carrying these rocks for 40 years and they're getting heavy. My back is sore, right? I'm getting these aches and pains in certain places, like because I'm holding on to my secrets.
Oh.
And my secrets
Mhm.
are making me sick, you know? And so if I can bring light to them, I begin to put them down. I feel lighter. Like I don't have to conform to a certain expectation that I think others want me to be, or want my employer to be. Can I not be human? And the joy of a love long line of communication is that at the root of it, we can be joyful, happy, enlivened when we just speak about what we need and desire and want and come from a place of this joy of contributing to each other's well-being.
And that's not to say, because it sounds like it's like, oh, everything's joy and light all the time. But even when we're in pain, even when we're mourning, even when we're grieving,
Yes.
there can be a layer or a conjoint feeling of togetherness, of joy
Mm,
in just being a part of something greater than we are. And I think
belonging.
belonging, to be feel less, Naomi said, to
Mm,
feel less alone. And I think the root of that is belonging. Am I a part of something greater? And
mm,
am I an important contributor? Is
mm,
there meaning to me being here?
mm. To be useful. Man, I know that hits well for me. It's like, am I needed?
Mm. Yeah.
Am I
Mm.
wanted?
Yeah, and some people are like, oh, that's kind of a selfish question. I think there's this mutual reciprocity inherent in relationships in life, whether it's the birds or the bees or the air and the trees that allow this fluidity that Naomi talked about, this dynamic flow of life, of God, of creator, of whatever this source energy that makes our heart pump. It's something. It's an electromagnetic
Mm,
frequency that we can learn more about. I think as humans, there's in this stage, and I just put a post up in my Facebook group about going back to ancient wisdom. There's some ancient wisdom I think we're going to go back to that remind. I always say this too because I always get this picture of Avatar where we're all in this extra human nervous system that as we start to slow down and tune into through each other allows us to come back to a more peaceful, connected homeostasis rather than this. And I think you had such a funny thing today, Dre, when you're like, a lot of people want to talk about triggers these days. People are being more open about, okay, what's going on here when we're triggered? And he's like, yeah, as we work in communication and stuff, we're going to say thank you to all the political leaders and all of the big evangelists out there and everyone who divides everybody to fight against each other because,
mm.
because it leads them to realize, oh my God, this feels awful. Want something different.
You know what? You know what feels awful me?
Full of
It
awe.
means I
Yeah,
feel
yeah. We
alive.
twist that word.
I'm not dead. I'm not numb. I'm not flatline. I'm not a zombie. I'm not a robot. So being triggered is a gift to know that I'm alive. I'm actually living. Like it's like the muck, right? I love how you said it's all the positive stuff, like to be in mourning together, to be in grief, to be in sadness together, to realize, holy, what that's all a life. And we can appreciate that. And when I really allow myself to share in deep ways about myself, I'm really connecting to this life's intelligence within me
Yeah.
that has an intelligence of its own to create, to co-create, right? Life begets life. Life wants to flourish. Life wants expansion and different experiences. All of it, right? Including pineapple on pizza.
Pineapple on pizza. Where
Some people don't like pineapple on pizza and some people do. But the universe wants to experience it all, you know?
okay, that threw me off. What did you say just?
Life wants to express itself in many different
It
forms.
does.
And
I had a thread I was going to add to that, but the pineapple on pizza thing just threw me.
yeah, threw you off? Yeah, a little curveball there. That's life. Am I truly alive? Does my life have meaning?
Oh,
Yeah.
I know what it is.
Does my life have meaning?
I know what it is. Oh, can I talk? My turn, my turn.
All right, we're done. See you guys. Peace.
Um, you talked
Okay.
about life having its own intelligence. And AI, artificial intelligence, is such a big thing these days, which only rides on the back of people's own body conduits and tapping into our life's intelligence itself. Um, a lot of
Mm,
people, like you said, seek outside themselves for that information, but within our body is the innate intelligence of life itself. And I
mm,
believe communication can tap us into the innate intelligence of life itself. Current English language
mm.
takes us a little bit far away from it in many different ways. And I appreciate how Marshall Rosenberg, through nonviolent communication, has attempted to autocorrect that in a lot of ways. Um, but I also think the knowledge of, and why one of the most important parts about meeting you was your training in positive intelligence and understanding my own survival mechanisms and what I say to myself, what I'm communicating to myself most of the time as to why I show up in communication or why I do things so unconsciously. And so when I get to know why I do things, and if I know why you do things, man, it's so much easier to understand that question that Naomi is asking: am I truly alive? Or am I just floating, surviving, trying to make it through? Or can I let my guard down to try pineapple on pizza, to try something
Yeah.
unusual, to trust myself, to get out of my comfort zone?
Yeah. Um, it's really cleaning out like the ducts, you know, like the sewage system. And that's why freedom of speech, like it's a divine right.
Wow.
Communicate in a place we can get to a place where you know we can have conversations to unlayer the saboteurs, right? The unconscious programming that's there to divide me from my truth, from the truth of it all. If I don't talk about it, it becomes more baked in. Like it
Oh,
becomes like a program that's been installed for like 40, 50, 60 years, and it's hard to unplug it, right? I create my own echo chamber. I start convincing myself that that's just true rather than be exposed to different sides and perspectives of it and to unlayer and peel it back. And I find when communication done skillfully can uncover
mhm.
that, can bring the life back into the conversation, right? We talk about interruption, right? Certain times where, interruption, when done skillfully, can bring life back into the conversation.
Right. We've been taught that
Yeah.
interrupting people is rude.
Hmm. Yeah.
Hmm.
Don't interrupt your parents, especially growing up. Like the teaching that I got with like this backhanded slap was, don't talk back to your parents. Do not question. Do not have your own opinion. Don't cry. Don't get sick. So it's like, okay, parents are God, like you're right.
Well, they might be the authoritarian for
Baked
sure.
in. Yeah. Well, that was my belief,
Hmm.
right? And so that makes it very hard to not interrupt people
Well,
because it's a
yeah, I'm
program
curious. I
and my
think
beliefs around
interrupt
it.
has this negative connotation to it. It's like, hey, Dre, shut up. I want to say what I want to say. Versus, hey, can I check to see if I heard you correctly? Because I think people think of interruption as, well, someone's been rambling on and on and on, and I'm certainly irritated and annoyed because I haven't had a turn to interject my own opinion into this conversation. Or maybe they're just bored and they don't know what to do. And I think a lot of people often in conversations look to respond and just want to have their turn, and they haven't actually listened to what that person is maybe not saying verbally, but what they're really trying to say. And so I think there's a fine art to, you know, because I think a lot of people pretend to listen, to be like, oh my God. And in their head, they're like, when is this person going to shut up? Like, how much longer are they going to like keep saying the same things over and over again? This is so irritating. Like, I can't even stand it. And so
Mm.
there's a communication going on there unconsciously in their body language that other person can probably see it, but they're anxious. Maybe they want to impress that person. They're trying to get some kind of connection, and then the anxiety increases as someone else is having those judgments. So what is it? I think there's got to be a different word rather than interruption that means that I don't just want to interject my own opinion and be rude in that way, but I want to check if what I'm hearing from you is accurate. Is if what I'm hearing is what you're attempting to tell me.
Yeah. Perhaps a check-in, like what's coming to mind is coming back to the goal of the conversation. If my goal is to really get to know you and where you're coming from, then interruption is a gift for me to check and reflect back what you said, right? And bring the conversation along, because if it goes on long, right, I'm going to start to check out and doze off or judge you, right? And so that's the gift of like checking in on that. And I thought about like the two sides of the coin. Maybe there's more. For me, is like the reason why I don't want to interrupt is I don't want to be rude. Um, I don't want to disappoint you or make you not like me, or I don't want to create conflict. So I'm not going to interrupt, or even going deeper. Like, yeah, my opinion doesn't matter. It's all good.
Mm.
Right? You know, the other side of the coin is like, man, I want to be heard, and growing up, I was never heard. So I'm gonna make sure that you
Yeah.
hear me.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna listen to what you say, and I'm gonna get my point across and interrupt, right? So it's like, where's that coming from, right? That behavior. Where is that coming from, right? And does that behavior serve the goal of the conversation? So this is bringing awareness of like the intent of this communication. What is our goal of our conversation? What's our intention here? Where are we going with this? You know?
And I wonder for me, and I think this might be new for people, is as you're having a conversation, being able to say, oh, I'm noticing in my body that I'm feeling elated or bored or sad, or I'm noticing I'm having this story come up in my head as you talk. And I wonder if I can check in with you is if my story in my head is true or not. Um,
Mm.
or even just speaking the truth of the conversation, because often what's coming out verbally isn't the only conversation that we're having. In our head, we're like,
Mm.
oh, do I look attentive? If we're having an argument or talking about something that might be a bit conflictual, there's some conversations in there of, oh, are my feelings adequate or not adequate? What's the word I'm looking for? Are my feelings, mm, do they matter? Thank you.
Matter.
Do my feelings matter? Do their feelings matter? Is my point of view okay? Is their point of view okay? Does this make
Mm.
me a bad person if I don't agree with them? You know, there's so many things that are going on in someone's head while someone speaks to someone else that isn't spoken out loud. So there are verbal conversations, and then there's the conversations underneath that come from our own perception of who we think we are.
It could be too like, does this person like me? Or it could be, am I rambling?
Yeah, we might be thinking
You know,
that.
is this person really listening to me? Or am I talking too much? And so the gift of checking in is to actually like help people, to support people for those that might have that dialogue inner narrative like, oh, I'm talking too much. I'm embarrassing myself,
Yeah.
or I'm not able to get the point across. So I got to keep doing this. And by checking in and reflecting back, it saves me. Like it actually helps bring life back to the conversation and helps me confirm that like you get
Ah.
me, that you're actually listening to me. I remember a friend, like I was at Starbucks and you know, I was reading How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, and one of it is like, be interested than interesting, or
Oh.
something like that. And so I kind of took that literally of like wanting to really get to know this person, right? So I was practicing my listening skills, but then I was getting annoyed because this person just kept going on, and I realized this person, my judgment is that they're telling the same thing in just different ways, right? And I totally got it, but I just like waited. I just kept on waiting until he took a pause so that I can come in and talk about it.
So you just
But he
kept
never did.
repeating the same thing. You were like, "Oh my god, I
Yes,
get it
in a
already."
different way. And I was getting anxious, and I had to just stop him. I'm like, hey, can I stop you for a sec? I kind of did it in a brutish way, like a pretty rough way of stopping it. Though in that moment, like I had an intuitive hit to just reflect back what he was saying. So did you mean this and this and this and this and this? And all of a sudden I could just tell with his body language, he's like, yeah,
Oh.
yeah. And then we just had a moment of space of just like
Mhm.
presence and connecting in that
And
moment.
what did you learn? Because you told me
Yeah.
that he didn't think you were getting what he was saying. That's why he kept.
Yes. Right. Yeah. And he's like, "Yeah, yeah, totally." And he even shared like, "Yeah, I just saw myself kept talking because I wasn't sure that you got what I was talking about." I'm like, "Oh, right."
Right. So
So,
had you tuned into your body, okay, this seems to be going on and on, to be willing to check in earlier, it would have been a relief for him too.
yeah. Yes. Really for
Yeah,
both of
for both of
us.
you.
We were torturing each other through that experience.
Yeah, that goes back to that question. Am I truly alive? And is this conversation also alive? If one of us is shutting down, if one of us has weird
Yeah,
feelings, it's felt in the field, it's felt
like
in the
checking out.
conversation. And so, how do we feel alive in conversation is by checking in and being brave enough to say, hey, can I check in with you? I like that better. Not interrupt. Can I check in with you to see?
Yeah, can I check if I hear you correctly? Can I check if I understand
Yeah.
you?
Or
Right?
being vulnerable. Hey, while you're talking, I'm noticing I'm having this feeling in my body, and I'm not sure where it's coming from. Do you notice? Is that something that you're noticing? Like, you know,
Yeah. Even being honest, like, just want to say I'm confused
yeah.
right now,
Hmm.
and yeah, and I just wanted to make sure I'm on the same page as you and getting clear on like what you're intending to share. Is it that you want me to get to know da 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 or something, right?
Yeah, and I'll bring it back to what I said.
Yeah.
Conversation for me is about feeling. I guess that's because I'm a Cancerian, but other things is, you know, what you're saying to me right now really makes me feel warm inside, or it makes me feel disheartened or anxious. Just admitting feeling and being able to step into that space with
Yeah.
someone.
So it goes back to the motivations of the conversation, right? Of the communication. It's about the life of the conversation? It's about getting to know each other, right? And the check in, the interruption is a way to serve that, rather than my goal is to take
Yeah.
over the conversation. My goal is I want to be heard. My goal is I want you to convince you, and then I'm interrupting to convince you to hear my point of view.
Yeah, conversations like that aren't very productive. We might convince people temporarily. It might look,
Can be
yeah, yeah. They
temporarily,
might look
yeah.
like they're doing something, but what's going on underneath the hood in there? Like, are they resentful? Are they going to try and do some passive aggressive stuff in between there? We want people to honestly say what's going on for them. And that goes back to also the motivations for conversations, right? I think in our history there's a lot of fear, guilt, shame, or again, you said that impressing thing in business oriented atmospheres. But what about the joy in meeting everyone's needs, about having power with? And that's not a common thing in our current culture, but I think it's becoming more and more a desire for people. It's exhausting to try to have power over others. And
Yeah, there's an inherent part of the human being, like the spirit that is defiant. I believe there's a part of me that when you try to force me to do something, it doesn't want to be forced to. It'll fight back. It brings up what we call resistance.
yeah, when anyone's forced, they only have two options: to submit or rebel. And in either case, there's no authentic connection, no authentic relationship. There's just, I guess, slavery in a way. Hmm. Yeah. This goes back to, I guess, authenticity to truth to connection to meaning. I notice we're
Yeah.
getting
Yep.
close to having time to.
Yeah. Right. Well, we can make up the time too, because trying to check out with the technical things. Next time, maybe there'll be a backdrop of like those TV things, like me with the different colors. But anyways, I want to check in with the people watching.
Mhm.
Like if you had any comments, insights, what was shared. The motivations for communicating. What are your motivations for communicating? We'd love to hear it.
Do you guys interrupt?
What's your experience with interruption? Yeah, do you
I'm
interrupt? Are you
asking
comfortable with
questions.
interrupting?
No, just
Hey, I
kidding.
see what you did there. Do you like pineapple on pizza or no? Or
By
yeah.
the way, yeah, let us know your pizza orders if you're helping us move on Monday. We do put pineapple on our pizza. and we're gonna
A
order some.
pineapple. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. This is the point where we're not interrupting each other.
That's another important thing of communication too, is to be okay with
Nonverbal communication.
silence too, right? Oh, Brooke. Hey, Brooke. Oh, you're here. Hey, authentic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, authentic
Oh,
connection,
authentic.
right? Like
Oh,
what's
I
really
love that.
happening?
Authentication.
Yeah.
Authentic communication. Authentication. That was a flip. Mm.
Yeah. To really know what's really going on underneath, right? Yeah. Mm,
Yeah, and to pause long enough to hear, to feel that life in
mm.
someone else, what's really alive in them.
Which what's coming through for me is practicing slowing down too. Because sometimes I can find myself speaking like a mile a minute. I'm so excited or maybe nervous, and I'm like, "Ba, ba, 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 ba." But like, just take a breath and just slow it down.
Yeah, I know some people and teenagers and some different people that are like, and I can't even just like, you know what? You can go slower. I'm listening, and you can have as much time as you need to share. You don't have to
Yeah.
speed up on my account. Yeah.
Mm.
Brooke says the softer emotions. Hmm. What's a
Okay.
soft emotion versus a hard?
Yeah. Curious to hearing about that, Brooke.
Hmm.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm very, very grateful for the work at NVC. It's like Marshall is ahead of his time, right? It's truly a spiritual teaching. It's an embodiment of a particular consciousness that gets infused with the NVC framework. But then here's the thing: what I'm noticed is when I'm infused with that consciousness, when I become aware of that consciousness, I start speaking that way normally. Like it comes out naturally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just a paradigm shift as we all start communicating differently, different language, different goals for what we're doing. Um, can you pop
Yeah.
up what Naomi said there too? It always gets cut off on my side.
Oh, yeah.
What you're feeling, yeah, so important.
There you go. I felt anxious about checking in with the client today. I'm realizing I don't have to internally wrestle to or ch- keep her or changing her view. I can just be with her, see what's happening in us.
Hmm. Yeah, we just have to speak out loud what is in any given moment. Yeah.
Universe through me experiences pineapple and pizza as meh. Can take it or leave it. Yeah, right.
Okay, we'll order something else for you. What do you experience as delicious and uh, taste bud tantalizing on your pizza? Or do you not like pizza at all? That's also a possibility. Yeah.
But yeah, we're moving into a new space on Monday. This coming Monday, so that's exciting. Yeah, and
Excited.
yeah, just grateful for the support, people coming out to support us, to pack and move and clean. Yeah. Mm.
Yes, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Thank you for a very interesting
Okay.
conversation. I get to know you more every time we do this.
Mm. Yeah. That's how we jam. We would jam like just eating dinner or whatever, and we're like, "Oh my god, I think it'd be a great idea to just have conversations like this live," you know? Brooke did have a question here. Is empathy me taking responsibility in my role in their emotions? Is empathy me taking responsibility in my role and their emotions? Well, I've I've a yeah. So no. Um, I think that's a bit different. Well, first piece is like I got to come from a paradigm that I'm not actually responsible for people's emotions and feelings because that's their inner experience. Right? I'm not responsible for how I make them feel, and their feelings could be based on thoughts and judgments of what I did. Though that's their internal experience, and that's the energy that's flowing within their body, right? Empathy is actually more of a beingness. It's nothing to do. It's actually empathy is me being with the person. What that means is simply just being with their feelings and needs, being with their experience with no judgment.
It's acknowledging how they're feeling without taking any responsibility for it at all. Allowing them to have their experience and be with them in their experience so they can move out of it if it's a negative experience, um, to more truth, to more connection. And yeah, we we're not responsible in that heavy idea of, oh, I made that person feel that way, but we are able to to respond. Being response able means we can say, hey, yeah, I noticed you're feeling really sad that I took the car and you weren't able to get to your friend's house this afternoon. And maybe there's a need there for connection with their friend, and you're able to connect to that and then find a solution next time. But we're not actually responsible for how they feel, because if they didn't have the car and they had a bike, they could have possibly got there a different way. So there's lots of um, things that happen in the world that we may not understand why they happen, and sometimes they're grief stricken. But we don't know what people's, what you might call, soul contracts are, what they're thinking in their head about their judgments about what's going on. And so it would be really, what's the word? I don't want to use narcissistic, but to think that we're responsible for how someone else feels means that we would have to be responsible for their own judgments of themselves, how they perceive the world, how they were born, what religion they prescribe to. Yeah,
Mm,
because you can do one thing and one person will feel one way and another person will feel completely another way, even though you did the exact same thing.
mm. Yeah, yeah. It's interesting. I was thinking about it. It's like, being responsible for someone's feelings, it can be such a
Ugh.
burden and it could take my power away. But at the same time, it could give me a power trip.
Oh, it could do that too. Yeah.
The opposite side of like, oh, I'm better than you because I control your
Mhm,
emotions. Ha ha
mhm.
ha. So I'm gonna push some buttons
Yeah.
here.
Codependence
Yeah.
comes in that way. Yeah. Oh, look, I can make you feel a certain way, so I'll do this, and he makes that. But when people have their own sovereignty, they know what people do has nothing to do with how I react to it.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I just got to bring it back to my own experience. That's it. Got to be aware of what's happening underneath here. Yeah. Mm. Thanks for the question, Brooke. Yes. So we'll see you all next week, same time. We'll be in our new, what do we call it, digs.
Yes, Andre's excited to create an actual real live podcast studio there. So
Yeah. Maybe you could be on the same
yeah, we're
camera
gonna have a table
and
and be
better
on the
my
same camera.
quality.
Yeah, did that make sense for you, Brooke?
Yeah.
Was that
We
supportive or just
continue.
more confusing for you? Let us know. Hmm.
Yeah. Let us know. You know where to
Yes.
find us.
Thank you all for your
Okay.
patience for getting on here today. We do have a Facebook group, Get Resourced, if you want to join us or ask us
Yes.
for that link where we'll put in snippets and our
Mhm.
upcoming workshops and information in there. Otherwise,
Mhm. Yeah, all sorts of workshops, like saying no, setting boundaries without compromise, speaking out your triggers and having people kind of guess your feelings and needs underneath
What
that,
forgiveness
right?
really
Even
means.
yeah, even interrupting. That could be a
The
workshop on its own, like
art,
interrupting people and seeing what
the
comes
art of
out.
checking in.
Yeah,
Hmm.
checking in. Okay. And now